Pandora, a thriving and beautiful world. Its inhabitants live in this perfect symbiosis. That does not mean to say that it's not a dangerous place. And it's not just the wildlife you have to look out for. Sometimes the plant life can be just as dangerous as the wildlife.
Like, seriously, a plant killed me. You get plenty of plants that are like sploogey and splashy and stuff, and like even ones that spit stuff at you, which is creepy and gross. But like this one electrocuted me. It electrocuted me until like I was no longer living, and like normally you've got plenty of time to even get away from these things, but you know, I was gathering resources and I wanted stuff from the electric plant, and the electric plant won. It's kind of embarrassing. Anyway, this is largely spoiler free, and like I'm saying spoiler free because I don't really think there's anything here to spoil. Like, the story is very, very simple. You are part of a lost tribe because the humans came along and rescued you completely. Something happened, you know, the events of the first film, while you're growing up with the humans, you end up going into stasis and you come out after the first film has finished, and yeah, you join the resistance to fight the bad humans. It's a simple story. It does what it needs to do. It's nothing flashy. The combat, I'll get into in a minute. I'll get into that in a minute. But where this story really is going to win people is the immersion. That, I think, is the selling point for this game. It is a beautiful looking game.
So the story aspects of this game get you far enough to really just get you into the gameplay. That's really what this is. The story is serviceable. It's not bad, like there are worse stories out there, but you know, it just... The game wants you to go out into the wilderness, fight the baddies, liberate the bases, and so on and so forth, and you get to do that fairly well. There's a little bit of customization in the game in terms of the clothing that you wear, if you're going to do more Navi stuff, or if you're going to dress more like a human being. And, you know, you are Navi. Like, when you come across the humans, you tower above them, and it is pretty cool in combat when you're going to town with the bow. But the point of this is that it's not the best story, but as I've said, the story is not really what you're looking for this game. It is immersion. It is a beautiful game. It genuinely is. I can't take anything away from how this game looks. I've come across a number of bugs while I've been playing it, but you know, it is what it is. It's still a fun little game with this beautiful, beautiful world. But what do you do in this world? Well, first I want to talk about the whole eating thing. Like, I think I've made this very clear. My opinion on this is very, very clear. I do not like eating mechanics in video games if they are forced upon you. Like, especially games like this. Like, I'm not playing this game to eat, but I'm going to have to eat in this game. Otherwise, my health is going to start to drop. My health isn't going to recover quickly. My stamina gets shot to shit. Like you will get punished if you don't eat in this game. And yes, it's simple. Yes, it's easy. You're not really going to run out of food if you spend like 30 seconds foraging. But it's still one of those things where, why is this mechanic in my game? Because they could have made this game and completely taken out the whole eating mechanic, or just had that as part of the healing thing, and it would have been fine. But no, you've got to hunt and stuff like that. It's not as punishing as, say, Dragon's Dogma, where like your food will spoil if you don't play the game, or if too much time goes past while you're playing the game and the meat just rots and the berries and stuff rots. This isn't like that at all. And when you learn to cook, which happens fairly early on, you'll be able to get more from your food. It's it's a layer of tediousness that I don't think belongs in the game. Like, you can have it as an optional extra, and maybe if I'm turning the difficulty settings up and the immersion settings all up to 11, then yes, it would be great. But it's annoying that it's there, and when you fast travel, you're gonna get hungry, and it's just irritating. To have the best chance in battles, you need to be well fed, and this is just one of those things that I don't think needs to be the way that it is. Yeah. But apart from that, you've also got the combat. Now, a lot of people have compared this to Far Cry, and I don't think that's particularly fair. Hear me out with this. So, Far Cry is basically a game that puts you out into wherever, and then it gives you a ton of weapons and the boom booms to do and play how you see fit. This game doesn't. Like, it puts you in that area, but your weapons are very, very limited. It is much, much closer to Far Cry Primal, but even then, I think the combat in Far Cry Primal is probably a bit more enjoyable. Sure, there's more customization in this game, but it's just... the combat is hollow, and that's a shame. It's a shame.
Now, while we're talking about combat, so I am an archer. Now, the first weapon you pick up in this game is a bow. And maybe it's just because I am an archer that I notice these things, and I've had to go back and re-watch the films because this is really bugging me. But the first weapon you get in the game is a bow, and you pick the bow up like this. You hold the bow in your right hand, you knock the string in your left hand, and then you're there and you're ready, and you go and you're ready to pull back. Wow, that is weird. That is very, very weird. This is going to feed into my point, right? I am left eye dominant, but I'm right-handed. I much rather just shoot the bow with no sights as a normal right-handed shooter. Which does not mean I hold the bow in my right hand and I draw the string back with my left hand. Like, that doesn't, like, this, there is nothing natural or good feeling about this. As a right-handed man, I hold the bow in my left hand, I draw the string back with my right hand. That's what a right-handed shooter means. Nice, easy, feels brilliant. This game, you hold the bow in your right hand, and I thought, okay, well, left-handed character. Aside from like old school Doom and like Legend of Zelda, where Link is left-handed in the older games, you don't really see a lot of lefties. I'm cool with that. It's gonna be a bit odd, but you know what? I'm down for it. It's fine. Ain't nothing but a drama llama. But no, because when you get a firearm, you then hold the firearm with your right hand. So you're right-handed, but you hold the bow wrong. And again, like, I'm gonna have to go back and check to see how they actually shoot in this film, but I'm pretty sure all the right-handed archers are pulling the string back with their right hand.
So when you start the game, the first weapon you'll get will be, the first proper weapon you get will be your bow. Then you'll move on to getting the firearms, like the assault rifle, and then the shotgun, and then you've got like a little slingshot thing, and like the weapons are like suitable. They match the world that you're in, but it's just they're so limited. I don't think it's fair to compare this game to Far Cry, because Far Cry gives you a much more wider range of firearms to get the job done, whereas this game... well, this game doesn't. It's kind of shallow. It's kind of shallow. Now, they do use the Far Cry formula, and that is, as you traverse the environment, you're gonna come across a number of stations and some bases, and these actually do something pretty cool. So these are basically polluting areas. You know you're near one of these stations because the ground is going to be brown and rotted, and the plants aren't going to be thriving, as opposed to in contrast to the luscious jungles that you'll be running through, and then suddenly things will just be rotted, which also means that whilst you're in that area you can't really farm for resources because like nothing there is good. But if you take down these bases, the wildlife gets a chance to rebuild, and relatively quickly the flora and fauna rebuild from it, and everything's good. So that's an interesting way of tackling the whole base system. But even then, I do kind of find it a little bit hollow in some cases, but it's an interesting way, and honestly I don't know how else they would have done this. It works for what it is. What I will say though is that when it comes to going after actual bases, so not like the little plants, the oil drilling stations, but actual bases, so you are subtly encouraged to be as sneaky as possible, to go unseen, because if you are spotted, then the amount of resources that you can get from that base after you've cleared it are much lower. So the game does genuinely encourage you to be sneaky. That being said, there is a mechanic in this game, at the moment at least, I hate, and it's part of the reason why I can't play like Deus Ex Human Evolution or Human Rebellion or Mankind Divided, whichever ones it is. Basically, one enemy sees you, every single enemy on the base sees you. I hate that kind of AI, and I've come up against a lot of it. Now, I like the bow in video games. I like the bow in Far Cry games and in Skyrim and everywhere else. I am not good with said bow, but I enjoy it, and it does make the game harder for me. However, because I am not particularly great with it, I do end up going back to the more explosive stuff and the firearms that you get while you play this game, which in theory isn't too bad. But once I do that, I am then punished because the resources I get from the base are significantly lower. Sure, it's a similar system that you get in some of the Far Cry games, where you are rewarded better for being undiscovered and being sneaky. It's just kind of irritating that a giant blue alien has to be undiscovered whilst going through these bases. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to jive with me all that well. So the combat is lacking, sure. The story is weak, sure. But the immersion is good. The immersion is pretty good. Now, as I said, there's some customization when it comes to clothes you're wearing and so on and so forth. There's also two voice actors. I think the third option you get with this game is sort of like an AI generated thing, and like, it sounds weird, but you can either choose to have the male voice, the female voice, or something in between. I went for the male voice because it's actually the guy who voiced Miles Morales in the Insomniac Spider-Man games, and I thought it was really cool. Generally speaking, I think the female voice actors in video games are slightly better, like certainly with Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed. I think the female voice actors are just better in those games. But you're not committed to anything. You get to a station where you can start editing your appearance, your hair color and stuff like that, which in itself is extremely limited. Same with hairstyles and everything else. But if you want, you can switch back and forth between the voice options. You're not punished. You're not going to lose any game save data or anything like that. So it's nice that you can experiment and work out what you prefer, as opposed to, like in Dragon Age Inquisition, where you start with like the guy's voice and it's just painful, man. Like it's just hurts my soul. Anyway, so as you play through the game, as you go through things, you will find your flying dragon thing. And you'll actually get that before you get your alien horsey, which I thought was a bit weird. But the flying combat in this game is, again, it's pretty serviceable. Like, I'm not mad at it. Like, you can use your bow when you're in the air, you can use your firearms, like the combat in the sky is the combat that, like, you want to do. It's fine. It's enjoyable, even. I've quite enjoyed most of the time where I've had my dragon flying around the skies, whether I'm just picking food out of the air, whether I'm fighting against the airships or anything else. It's honestly quite enjoyable, especially when you get to roam around the map unencumbered with your flying dinosaur. Mine, obviously, named Sir Waggleton. Every single steed I have, whether it being a flying alien dinosaur or a horse from Ghost of Tsushima, they are always Sir Waggleton. And it was nice. This is one of the things that you can customize as well, so if you do decide after you've picked your particular flying dragon that you want a different color set, yeah, that's not too difficult. But I do want to mention the paid elements of this game. That is a problem. It is a problem. I'm probably going to go into this a little more later, but yeah, this it's not worth spending extra money for the cosmetics of this game. It's really not the way that it is now. But of course, Ubisoft is going to do their best to throw that in there, because my god, when do they ever just make a game and let you enjoy the thing?
So all said and done, this is a fine game. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's immersive. As I've said countless times, the combat, the story does what it needs to do. You know, this is the reason why you go from point A to point B. But the immersion is really cool, and the different little takes on the combat are well appreciated. But there are other things with this game. There are season passes and stuff like that, and I genuinely don't understand why. Now, maybe they have got something in the pipeline to bring something new and amazing to this game, like DLCs and everything else, but like right now, I don't see the point of buying any additional extras for this game. And again, I'm the guy who plays Warframe, a free-to-play game, and I spend a fair bit of money on it. But this game, I just don't see the reason for it. I don't see the validation behind it. I don't see anything other than corporate executives getting in the way of good game design. But I will say this, just to finish this off, this is not a bad game. Avatar is not a bad game. They could have done so much better, but it's fine for what it is. But if you really want to have a lot of fun with this type of game, and you don't really care about the hundreds of different weapons and so on and so forth, well, if it's cheaper, you might want to look at Far Cry Primal. But if you can get this game on sale and you are a fan of Avatar, yeah, it's good for a few hours. It's good for a few hours. That's where I'm going to leave it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.